Hi, this is Joseph Williams, son of John Williams, and you are watching the Nerf Herder Council.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Nerf Herder Council. I am your host, JT. We are live on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel, as well as the Facebook page and YouTube channel of the Virtual Cantina Network. We are also live on the Nerf Herder Council Twitch page. If you're watching on either YouTube channel and you have not done so already, please remember to click the like button, click the subscribe button, and hit that notification bell so that you are notified every time we go live. As always, guys, we are brought to you by Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/NHC for your 30-day trial and a free audiobook download. If you would like to get some awesome Virtual Cantina Network swag, just go to tpublic.com/user/virtual-cantina. And for some kick-ass customizable Nerf Herder Council swag, just go to shop.nerfherdercouncil.com. Just so you guys are aware, the views of the Nerf Herder Council do not necessarily reflect those of the Virtual Cantina Network, and there might be some bad language in this show. So if you're not into that sort of thing, then might want to haul your ass out of here. So I've said ass twice, and I said it once before the disclaimer, so kind of messed up already. Oh well. Anyways, here's AJ. What's up, man?
You didn't say fuck.
Well, there we go. And we're off and running. So what is going on, man? This should be fun.
Well, first I have a question for you.
Okay.
Does it feel like it's only been 2 weeks since our last podcast?
No, because it hasn't been. It's been 4 weeks.
Good. All right. Just wanted to make sure of that because it's been a blur around here. So yeah, we got bumped. We got bumped 2 weeks ago, but that's okay. We kind of, hey, it's summertime. Everybody needs a little break every now and again. So I think that was time well spent.
Yeah, that was the one of those extremely rare weekends where, why am I so low? One of those extremely rare weekends. It was like a long weekend, and I found myself literally. I had a concert on July 3rd, and that was it. And I had no other plans. And it was a long weekend for my job. They gave us Friday and Monday off for July 4th.
Nice.
And yeah, and then we get to the show, and the show was actually the second closest distance I have to drive this year. So that was nice. It was only like an hour and 25 minutes. And then we didn't have to play because the storm came in. We didn't even set up. So I basically had nothing. And with the podcast not going on, like, I had several days in a row to do nothing, which was really, 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 really nice. So, yeah.
That, like I said, we all need a little time off every now and again. So, yeah, I'm recharged. I'm ready to go. How are you feeling tonight?
I'm feeling good. I'm a little tired. Been sleeping like crap, but yeah, so far so good. So it'll be interesting to talk about this because I was actually immersing myself in one of the properties that we're going to invariably touch on tonight right before we went on. So that's pretty cool. So look at this, Joseph Friend. He says, JT was drinking and watching reruns of the Masters. 100% truth.
Well,
100% truth.
Not a bad way to be, man. Because, a little teaser for one of the things we're going to be talking about tonight. You know who wasn't watching the Masters of the universe? Anybody.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're talking about tonight is this started as an idea of just kind of talking about, well, unfortunately, the underwhelming performance of Mandalorian and Grogu. I'm sorry, Mandu and Grogu. And then I was thinking like all the other big blockbuster movies that went nowhere this summer. And they're all like old school franchises. And it seems like they're just having a hard time finding a modern audience, but it doesn't mean that movies are dead. It just means that movies from established franchises, what would seem to be sure bets, are kind of dead. On the flip side, you've got some newer properties coming in and they're hitting it big. So I thought it would be fun to talk about that tonight and try to unpack, like, why is it that Star Wars, of all things, can't produce a hit at the box office after a 7-year hiatus? Masters of the Universe, a toy brand since the 80s that is making great cartoons and has like a collector's line of toys that are selling like crazy on pre-order through Mattel. And, DC is never really figured out how to maintain momentum in their cinematic universe. But then you get things like The Back Rooms, like crushing their budget like tenfold at the box office, or the Super Mario Galaxy movie doing just fine regardless of critic reviews and things like that. So do we want to start with the Star Wars angle?
Yeah, I think that's a good place to start, because I don't think it was a flop.
Well, financially it was. And the way they've handled it is all kind of a flop, right? Like it's coming out for digital purchase on the 21st, just 6 days from now, less than 2 months after its theatrical release. That is incredibly short. And that's typically what happens because it's already out of theaters. I tried to take our mother. I was looking just 4 weeks after its release and could not find a showtime. It lasted like a month in theaters or less. That is ridiculous for a Star Wars movie.
Well, I found showtimes around me later than that, so it was still there. Again, I mean it had already made like double its budget or something like that after a few weeks. So I have a hard time saying, oh, it's a flop. It's like on the level of Solo, which I mean I just I don't know, man. I'm wondering if like the goalpost has to be moved. I mean, we're in the era of streaming. And I mean, people just don't go to the movie theaters as much. I really wonder if maybe it's time to stop. Well, if it doesn't make $1 billion, it sucked,
That's a good place to start, actually. I was thinking about that myself. Like it's becoming harder and harder with the budgets of these massive movies to break even, because the rule of thumb is that a movie needs to double its budget to break even, thanks to great Hollywood accounting. But that's, the budget is just the cost to make the movie. And then all the other costs are for promotion, marketing, theatrical cut of the box office and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So what was the budget for Mandalorian and Grogu? It was something like 160, 170, something like that.
Yeah, I thought it was like 165 somewhere in there. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And it grossed somewhere around 330 to 350. So it's like maybe break even. Different reports have it a little different, but in terms of a Star Wars movie, a break even is a massive failure. Like even Solo, I guess, was less profitable, but still did $100 million more at the box office. So depending on how you slice it, they're fighting for the worst Star Wars movie of all time in terms of financial. So where do you think the blame lies on this one? Do you think it's in the quality of the movie, the budget of the movie, or something else?
No, I mean, it's not the quality of the movie. I don't think it's the budget of the movie. I honestly, I mean, it's weird because I had a lot of people tell me, like in the weeks leading up to it, there's a new Star Wars movie coming out, like we talked about. I'm like, how do you not know that? And again, I think it's a couple different things. I think it's a product of, and I'm gonna be like, old curmudgeonly man here on this. I get off my lawn guy, I know, but part of me really thinks it's kind of like a product of the social media age. I think there's a couple different things at play, because we'll get to some other franchises where the movies are just dog shit, and that's the reason why. But yeah, I think with Mandu and Grogu, I just think that for some reason people didn't know it was coming out, which I have no idea how that is. To me, I saw it everywhere, and maybe again that's part of my algorithm. It's like, the Burger King thing and all this kind of stuff. But I think it's also you
might have hit on something right there. Because we're Star Wars nerds and we're always looking at Star Wars stuff, we had a ton of marketing shoved at us. It was all over my YouTube feed. Every time there was a new TV spot, teaser trailer, whatever, I had something about it. But if that's not something that you look up, I don't know if you would have been shoved ads for it. So that might be one of the problems of the social media landscape, is it only shows you what you're interested in. So if you don't have that in your search history, how do you reach that audience?
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is, I mean, if you think about it, back in the day, when a new movie was coming out prior to, again, say the social media stuff, you had to go and search out movie reviews to see if something was good or not. And how many of us actually did that? Or did we just go, hey, it's a Star Wars movie, I'm going to go see a Star Wars movie, and make up your mind? Now,
Yeah.
You've got all these dickheads online that are like review bombing and, just mouthing off, and, Star Wars is woke. And so then people make up their minds as to whether or not they're going to see the movie based on a bunch of nitwits online. And so there's like, well, I'm not going. It's kind of, the whole thing kind of started with Solo, with the backlash against The Last Jedi. Well, I didn't like The Last Jedi, so I'm not going to see Solo. It's that childish crap. So I you know me, I hate social media so much, and I really feel like it really has a negative effect, far more than a positive effect. Human beings are animals, and when you bring them that close together, it's bound to end poorly. And I think it does. And it really sucks. And I just, I saw a bunch of people like, it's just an overblown television episode. Okay, but it's awesome, and it's Star Wars on the big screen. So I think that sort of thing, because I know there were some of my friends like, well, I saw people crapping on it online, so I'm not going to go see it. I'm like, that's so stupid. So I think that's part of it there. And like you said, like the algorithms, like people didn't know it was coming out, which, again, there was national stuff. There was a Super Bowl commercial, for Christ's sakes. There was Burger King promotion. So I don't know, man. I really don't know. But I think that the sequel trilogy unfortunately did a lot of damage. And I think that, people are kind of going, I don't know. And I mean, and again, I don't necessarily think it's a failure. Like, I just, again, I got to go back to what I said, like the moving the goalposts. Like, Joseph Friend says it in the chat. He says, we're having a temporary disruption of television advertising and walled garden streaming services. There is no free lunch. Franchises aren't falling. The goalpost has been moved. Not to mention, break even, quote unquote, isn't good enough anymore. If it's not Avengers profitable, it's not, quote unquote, successful enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. John Phillips, great to see you, man. He says the quality of Disney Star Wars. The show's reviewed by the core audience, not the masses. To the masses, it's Luke, Han, and Leia. That's Star Wars. I fucking hate that argument, and I will tell you why. It's like the goddamn Van Halen Sammy versus Dave thing, which, by the way, if that does not get off of my feed, I swear to God,
You
I'm
are
going to murder
spicy tonight. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I told you
Keep
I'm tired. If I have to see
Old
one
man's
more of
cranky.
these, dude, if I have to see one more of these David Lee Roth assholes, like Sammy sucks and he only writes love ballads and then, you know what? You're not a goddamn fan. Stop calling yourself a Van Halen fan when you actively shit on half of the catalog, okay? It's gotten to be like politics, like Republican versus Democrat, okay? So stop saying like them. Stop saying you want change when all you want is to be right, okay? You're not a Van Halen fan. You just want to prove that David Lee Roth is better. And this crap about
Disney, back to
Disney,
your social media point.
yeah, and no offense, John, but this crap about Disney Star Wars sucks. No, it fucking does not. And people that are like, I'm only watching for Han, Leia, and Luke, well, then fucking go away, because there's way more to it than that. That's 3 goddamn movies, okay? 6 if you want to be technical about the little pee-pee parts they were in the sequels. There is a huge, bigger galaxy than that, and it's not all crap. In fact, most of it is pretty damn good. So I hate that. Man, oh man. Yeah, I'm tired and I'm fired up about this stuff. I think it is because we started with Mando, and I don't know what it is, but I am like super protective of that movie. And
you really do take a personal stake in this. It's interesting.
Yeah. And you know what it probably is, if I was really thinking about it? I think it sucks because I'm having a hard time coming to grips with how things have changed and that people are turning their back on Star Wars for stupid reasons. Like, I keep thinking back to like when we were younger and we went to the prequels and stuff, and there was cosplaying and lightsabers everywhere and all this kind of great shit, and now you go to a new Star Wars movie, it's like you can't do any of that. The theater is only half full. It's like it's just I'm like, man, what the? So maybe I'm just pissed off because I'm like, I lost a big chunk of what was cool about seeing new Star Wars to me. I don't know. That's probably what it is. I honestly think, but And I think it's a great movie. And is it kind of like a long TV episode? Yeah, but who cares? It's a really, really good movie. It's fun. It's got all the hallmarks of a great Star Wars movie. And I think that's why you picked a good topic tonight, because it is kind of a perfect hallmark of, and there are other reasons why other franchises might not be doing well, but I think it's a perfect example of these legacy franchises that for some reason just are slipping. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is just a theory, but hey, it's our show and it's our opinions, so I'm allowed to speak mine. What I think what we've got here isn't really like franchise fatigue so much as I think people are starting to really wise up to the idea that it's all content for profit by major corporations, which sounds, I know, like super woke and everything, but it's, as much as I enjoyed Mandalorian and Grogu, the mere existence of that movie as the first return to cinemas for Star Wars, just, it reeked of a boardroom decision. It wasn't like there was a creative head at Lucasfilm that said, this is the next story we want to tell on the big screen. It was Disney saying, crap, okay, we need to make some money. What's the most safest, what they thought was the safest financial bet to make a new Star Wars movie on, just so they could get some movie money coming in, because streaming isn't paying the bills.
Yeah.
They're like, well, what's successful? Everybody loves Grogu. All right, make a movie. Like, there was no need for this to be a movie, but the same way they punted Kenobi from being a movie down to streaming because they thought that streaming was where everything was at, and Solo didn't do well, they did the opposite, going like, well, streaming's not paying the bills, so let's make a streaming show into a movie instead. And it bit them in the ass again.
Yeah.
And I think people are starting to see through that a little bit with all the formulas, especially with Marvel and Star Wars, like anything under the Disney umbrella. It's just obvious how the sausage is made, where the decisions that get into these movies are all based around algorithms and things that companies think fans will pay money for.
Yeah.
A movie you didn't see, but I did see, Supergirl, which is the second of the James Gunn-led DCU. Great. Okay. I actually liked Superman last year. I thought it was a really good movie. Have you seen that one?
Nope. My DC boycott, it remains alive and well. The last DC movie I watched was Superman Returns, and I loved it. And then they went, nah, piss on that. And I went, nope, then fuck you. God damn you, Carp. Tonight is not the night. Sausage is not made with onion. And Italians don't cook with it. It sucks. Now go away.
I shall taunt you a second time.
Love you, Carp.
But yeah, so, well, if you're not named John Drake, you might have seen Superman last year, and it was well received, and everyone was excited for like the future of the franchise, and they like had a little teaser in there. Supergirl pops in at the end because Krypto is her dog, not Superman's dog. And okay, so you get this idea of like who Supergirl is, and then here comes her movie this year, and everyone was all excited. And then all the stories, and just as you watch the movie, you realize you can see the studio influence. You can see the formula of like, okay, well, it's Supergirl's story, but here's Lobo. Everybody loves Lobo, right? And everyone wanted Jason Momoa to play Lobo. Remember that? Forget that he was Aquaman. He's now Lobo. And we're just going to put Lobo in the movie because everyone loves Lobo. All right, well, I think audiences are wisening up to that now. The only reason that Deadpool and Wolverine worked, getting Hugh Jackman back as Wolverine, is because the whole premise of Deadpool is to break the fourth wall and basically satirize all the stuff. So you can lean into the joke of course they brought Hugh Jackman back as Wolverine because isn't that funny? So we can laugh along with you. But when you just basically fan cast one of the most popular characters in DC and shoehorn him into a movie that has nothing to do with him, audiences are starting to wise up and be like, I can tell I'm being pandered to. And there's something just so soulless about that. I don't think anyone cares anymore. And I think that's kind of what Mandalorian and Grogu suffered from too, is audiences, if they knew that there was a Star Wars movie coming out, they looked at it and said, "Oh, we don't really need a Mandalorian movie. They're just putting it out there because they think that we'll buy anything that has Grogu in it."
It could be, man. Brian Carpenter, my amazing buddy, beat chef of Brother Believe Me, says, in my opinion, the last good Star Wars thing was Rogue One. We'll talk about that on Saturday. You are wrong. I think there's some stuff you would like, but I see where you're going with that. I mean, and you're not wrong. And I think that's kind of like, I will say that's the one thing that has changed about Star Wars that I don't like, is that kind of maverick mentality that George Lucas brought, which was like, up your ass, I'm going to make the movie I want, whether you like it or not.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, his whole idea for the sequel trilogy was around like midichlorians and stuff, even though he knew that the whole fan base was like, midichlorians are stupid. Like, so, you know, God,
he was
damn
quoted
it.
recently as
God
saying something
damn it.
basically like that. He's like, I don't regret walking away because I never wanted to follow the studio system, and it's gotten even worse now. And he's completely right. He's like, it should be. Yeah. So here's a quote from George Lucas directly. You go to the movies because the stories move you emotionally.
Yeah.
Art is an emotional medium. And he says that should be basically the guiding light for films in development. And that was his take on what he's seeing now. Is it's very obvious that instead it's like focus groups and test screenings. And then, oh shit, that didn't screen well. Let's change it.
Yeah.
Instead of like, no, we're not changing it because I, the filmmaker, had a vision and a story I wanted to tell, and we're telling that story. I think that comes across, right? Like I think audiences are just kind of like bored with what's coming out, because there's nothing like that shocking. There's nothing that it's like, oh, I hadn't thought of that. It's like, what's the old what's the old line about, like in football, like front office stuff, like, if you start listening to the fans, you'll end up sitting amongst them or something like that.
Yeah. If you listen to the fans, you'll end up sitting with them. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like that's the way the industry is going for movies and streaming as well right now. Is it's just, there's echo chambers of fandoms online going like, we want this guy in this role and we hate this and whatever. And the studio's like, yes, okay, give us more content ideas and we will make exactly what you said, please. Thank you. But audiences don't go to movies to get exactly what they want. They go to movies to be surprised and enlightened. And like, that's the thing, as much as you might not agree with everything George Lucas did with the story and the beats along the way, the fact that they were surprising was in itself something worth watching.
Yeah.
Instead of, if the franchise was being made fresh now, well, we saw it with the sequel trilogy. Disney listened to everything that people didn't like about The Last Jedi and said, oh my God, J.J. Abrams, fix it, please, because the last movie was made by you and everyone loved it and it made $1 billion. So can you please make us another $1 billion? Thank you. Instead of just going like, instead of having the balls to stick with whatever was going to go forward and be like it or don't, the next chapter in the story is this.
Well, and the odd thing about that too was, I mean, you're talking nostalgia for the franchise, and they never put Han, Luke, and Leia together. Like it was such a weird, like they kind of like battled their own mentality there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, by the way, Brian Carpenter's trying to troll me. I know exactly what he's doing. He knows I'm fired up, and so he's purposely trying to piss on me. He's trying to get me to yell, which
Carp, what are you doing?
Yeah, but yeah, no, yeah. I mean, it's weird that they kind of do seem to, again, we go back to the social media, like they listen to these people, they read the comments and all this kind of stuff, and here's what the fans are saying. It's like, well, why are you doing that? Like those same fans, you know, no, Brian, you're lying. You made the you made the Indianapolis, you made the Indiana Jones comment on purpose. I know you did, because you liked the last one. But yeah, like, you know, I mean, think about it. You go to Celebration. I mean, let's take Return of Skywalker, right?
Rise of Skywalker.
Sorry, Rise of Skywalker. Forget Germans. Forget it. He's rolling. Yeah. So
someone in the comments sound off on what movie quote that was.
Oh, good. Yeah. Thank you. But yeah, we went to the panel and the Emperor comes out and everybody loses their mind. Legacy character. So everybody was bitching that there wasn't enough of the legacy characters in the other two movies. You get the Emperor. Movie comes out, those same people, this movie sucks, it's a piece of crap. It's like, so I think that speaks 100% to your point. Just make what you want to make and tell people to piss off. Like, here we go. And I mean, look, man, and you brought a movie, what's it called? Back Rooms or something?
Yeah.
It was like,
based
it was
on
made
a game, video game.
Yeah. I thought that was one that was like a YouTube creator did it. And it was like some tiny PP budget and has made a ton of money. Like to your point, I mean, that one, Kale brought up Project Hail Mary. That was enormous. Like, and those are original concepts, And I don't know. Like, I feel like a lot of these things, again, the Mandu and Grogu thing is odd to me because it was a good movie and the show was popular. So that one is kind of odd as to why it didn't do as well as people thought it might. But the other stuff is like, I just think it's a lot of times it's bad writing. And we'll get to DC here in a minute. I mean, that one I think is a case of how many effing Batmans do you have? How many effing Supermans are you going to have? Like, it's just, you got multiple Jokers. It's like, it's so watered down that you're like, what am I watching? Like, it's not like James Bond, and Kale, by the way, you had an awesome comment about First Light earlier that we're going to get to later. Cause that's actually part of what we're going to talk about is the whole video game thing. But, it's not like the James Bond thing where it's, this recurring character, it's just in a different adventure each time. That's not really what they're trying to do. They have they're specifically saying, well, this is a reboot. We're rebooting the character. Well, why? Leave it alone. I mean,
I think we're talking about the weight of canon at that point. I mean, that's something that James Bond has always been vague on, and Kale is going to light up our comment section, I'm sure. But I've never really been clear. Are we supposed to follow all the actors who've played James Bond as though they are all the same in-universe person, or is that a moniker that's applied to agents when they take on the 007 mantle? And these are actually 5 distinct people in the James Bond universe that all adopt the name as an alias when they become 007.
Oh, yeah. Let us know that, Kale, because
otherwise, this is a guy that apparently hasn't aged for 60 years. So, continuity is a bitch. It's basically the point.
Ghosties, great to see you, says it was always a moniker until Daniel Craig. Okay, that makes sense.
But then there are recurring characters that claim to know James Bond from previous films, like they're the same person. Like Q rarely walks up and says, "So you're the new James Bond." It's like, no, that you're just James Bond. It might as well be the same guy from Goldfinger who's in Quantum of Solace.
Yeah. I don't know. I it's weird, like, because it works for James Bond because you know what it's supposed to be. But I think with the DC stuff, I mean, they just have never gotten on track with that at all. You know what I mean? And
yeah, because nothing's ever really had traction, unfortunately. They've never been able to build out a whole shared universe that people liked.
No. And they don't. How I've always wondered, how are they so bad at getting those movies done right when Marvel just knocked like every movie except for the Incredible Hulk, because I thought that was, but even that's better than any of the DC crap. All 23 of the films in the Infinity Saga were, I mean, even the ones that were lowest on the totem pole were still really, really good. And I mean, how is that even possible? That has always fascinated me.
Well, you see the franchise rot creeping in there too, because originally there was like the spy thriller genre, and that was Captain America, and then there was the action hero stuff with Iron Man, and then you had like the fantasy element with Thor, and like all these different formats, and then Avengers was like, oh my god, how can all these coexist? And the answer is, that's the fun part, is how do they coexist? And watching those characters bounce off each other, you know, dost mother know thou weareth her drapes? Like, it was hilarious, and it was great to see those clash of styles, you know.
Yeah.
And DC has never figured that formula out, and then Marvel eventually over time just sanded off all the edges, so every movie was kind of interchangeable. Every Marvel superhero, he's a quippy guy who is going to talk his way and wisecrack his way through every fight. And you know, you could swap in Spider-Man for Iron Man, for Shang-Chi, for you know, name another one from beyond the Infinity Saga. It's just it's whatever now, and that's what fans are noticing, I think, is people are stopping turning out for these things. They're like, it's just more of the same. Instead of letting people speak with their creative voice, they're like, no, this is the formula for Marvel now. Every Marvel movie will be like this. It's like, we've already had 23 movies of that. Can we get something else, please?
Well, and that's what's interesting about, you know, Avengers Doomsday coming up here, because they went through this, like, you know, I've said many times, this like D-level character thing after the Infinity Saga with, you know, the Eternals and all these characters that people don't give a damn about. And now they're like, course correction. Here's the original Avengers back. Oh, it's Robert Downey Jr. But because there's alternate universes, he's Dr. Doom now.
Right.
Like, okay, so, you know, it's like, so I think that's going to be a very interesting indicator of how much fatigue for at least that franchise there really is. Because I mean, I'm trying to think the last Marvel movie that I saw in theaters. I think it was, which one came out first? Was it Quantumania or Doctor Strange 2? It was Doctor Strange 2 is more recent, correct? Because I think
Doctor Strange 2 came out before Quantumania.
Okay, whichever one of those came out second, that's the last one that I saw. Because I'm just like, this is just getting too silly for me. Like, what am I watching here? And it
got to be Quantumania then.
Yeah, because at the end when they're like, hey, here's 1,000 Kangs, I'm like, what? You know, I'm not gonna beat the dead horse because I've done it a million times on the show, but I'm like, what the hell is this? Who the hell cares now? Like, you kill one and there's a billion other ones. Like, that's just stupid. Like, you know, it was just dumb. And so, but now that they're bringing back characters I give a shit about, I'm like, okay, I will go watch this.
Are you going to go to the theatrical re-release of Endgame? Because they've added scenes.
Even if they didn't, I didn't know that was happening, but since it's happening, yes.
Yeah, they're trying to stitch in additional footage to kind of link that movie with Doomsday. So I'm assuming it's something like, oh, well, this stuff was happening at the same time. We just imagine it like a director's cut. Like, imagine it was a deleted scene, except they filmed it new instead.
Yeah. Kale says, and then the franchise stopped Kang altogether. I think Kang kind of stopped Kang, like in the real world.
Except X-Men 97 season 2, which is airing right now, is all about that.
What, the actor being a complete scumbag?
No, it's all about Kang.
Okay.
And Apocalypse.
Okay.
So, because it's a whole comics thing, but yeah, I was amazed that they actually they named him specifically, and litigation stopped Kang.
And they call litigation stop Kang. See, that's what you do. That's all you gotta do is get him in court. You don't need the Avengers. Just get a lawyer.
I'll admit I'm a little blind to the news. I don't know. Was he exonerated? Like, or is he actually a piece of shit?
I don't think so. I think it was pretty much like, yeah, he I don't think he was fully exonerated. I think he's still like, yeah, piece of shit guy. By the way, wasn't Apocalypse in the one X-Men movie?
Yeah, I think it was actually called
Age
of Apocalypse. It was one of the first class movies.
That was didn't Oscar Isaac play him, I think?
I have no idea. I didn't see it.
See, that's the thing, and I'm guilty of that. Like,
that's the Fox X-Men universe. I didn't stick with it because those movies went to shite really quick.
Well, and that's the thing. Yeah, Yeah. Ghosty says, unfortunately. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, dude, I don't know. I it yeah, I don't know. Like I said, there's a couple different reasons, and my mind is bouncing around the topic, but yeah, I mean, I just the DC thing is one that just really gets me. That one is so easy for me to explain. And I get it. Like I'm just a crab ass. Like I loved Superman Returns, and I thought Brandon Routh was awesome because he just was so reminiscent of Christopher Reeves. And I was like, okay, this is Superman. This is, if you're gonna bring back Superman, this is how you do it. You know, this is like a continuation of the character, so it was continuity. And then when they went, no, here's a whole other, we're starting over again. I was like, then screw this, man. And they start over what, like 3 times now? Like how many?
Well, why did they start over again? Because the movie didn't make money.
I see. I don't know. I would think I'm the target audience, but I don't understand like what people don't like about some of these things that they complain. I don't know. Like Superman Returns, everyone's like, well, he was a creeper, man. He was using his X-ray vision to stare into the house. Like, all right, well, it's not like he was like watching him banging or something. Like, I mean, it's not like that. I mean, you know, he's not looking up her skirt or something gross. I mean, he's just saying, you know, it's a woman he loves, and he's like, oh man, he's sad. He's like, you know, I don't know. I liked it. I thought it was cool. It was very, but then again, maybe that's me. Just it was, you know, as you always say, like it hit me in the member berries.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that would be a real tangent for our show, but we could just talk Superman in general. And why is it so hard to tell a Superman story anymore? Right. Maybe time has moved past a character like Superman at this point.
Well, real quick, Chastity Crawley, this is interesting. She said, my pet peeve, because he's my cousin, there is no S in Christopher. Sorry if I said the S, that was me mispronouncing. There is no S in Christopher Reeve. The original George Reeves has an S. Christopher Reeve is your cousin? That's insane.
I think part of the confusion nowadays is because there's Keanu Reeves, and I was going to ask that actually because I always trip it up. I'm like, is it Keanu Reeve and Christopher Reeves, or Christopher Reeve and Keanu Reeves? I don't know. I guess we know now.
So Kale wants to know, well, since Mother and I have been watching the films again, Harry Potter's reboot, I am already fired up tonight. Don't get me started. If I watch that, it is going to be a hate watch. I'm terrified of what they're going to do. I don't like some things they've already done and announced. I can't stand it. And so, well, again,
it's a safe play. It just reeks of a safe play. One of the other examples I was going to bring up of a bomb, and fortunately, hopefully this does kill a trend, is if you've noticed with Disney, what they've been doing is they will either animate a live action thing or they will live action an animated thing.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, well, it's Lion King, but it's live action, except not really because it's all CG. You know, Snow White, it's live action. Moana is not doing well at all. And it seems like a guaranteed moneymaker, except it was just 10 years ago that the animated thing came out. It's too recent to bother with a live action remake. This idea of like, well, if we tell it in a different way, they just did it with How to Train Your Dragon from DreamWorks. Yeah. But at least that movie is like 20 plus years old. But a 10-year-old movie, and you're like, oh, it's time to tell that story again. No, it's not. Stop it.
Like, that's it. Ghosty, yeah. Ghosty,
but it's a cash grab. It's such an obvious cash grab to be like, yeah, you know what? It made $1 billion the first time, so we're going to make at least $750 million this time, right? No.
Look at Ghosties. The kids who grew up on it are too fresh, and the young ones are probably teabagging someone on Fortnite.
Exactly.
Yep, that's it.
Which is a great transition because you know where these legacy franchises are thriving? Video games, animation. Like if you take Star Wars, what's the most successful recent thing that Star Wars has done? The mall show. Star Wars animation has been, with the exception of Resistance, pretty much rock solid since Clone Wars. As much as we don't like Rebels, it was successful and popular.
Yeah.
And Clone Wars was popular enough that they did a 7th season on Disney Plus. They did the Bad Batch as a spin-off of Clone Wars, and then they did Maul, which I'm going to consider a spin-off of Clone Wars because it's basically the same animation style, just tweaked a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's won a bunch of awards. It's got critical acclaim. Audiences love it. And then you look at the Star Wars games, the Jedi games, hugely popular. Everyone's like, when's the 3rd one coming out? We need more of that. So Star Wars, the movie franchise, can't put out a movie that people want to watch, but they can put out video games and cartoons that people want to watch. On the flip side, you get Five Nights at Freddy's, video game, huge movie. Number 2 is probably going to do big, massive bank at the box office too. Minecraft movie, as much as we hate Jack Black, it made a shitload of money. Super Mario Galaxy movie made a shitload of money. So it's interesting that you can hop genres and that actually works. We've got video game examples. Your background right now. Tell me about RoboCop Rogue City.
Yeah. Well, I will make one point and then I will. I mean, but that what you were just saying completely backs up your point from earlier about, is it, are they rehashing old stuff, or are there any new ideas? Like all the properties you're talking about are actually, I mean, they may be based on other stuff, but they're new ideas. They're new stories. It's a brand new thing. Like we didn't have a lot of malls. So, cool. The Clone Wars is a perfect example. You just heard about the Clone Wars. You saw it in a couple movies and they're like, all right, there's an appetite for the sort, and then off you go, stuff like that. It's not like a reboot or a remake or something like that. But, so, I mean, I think that's why those have been more successful. Ghosties, and we'll get into your question, says the RoboCop game is so good. Yes, it is. It is amazing. I'm playing the DLC right now. It's called Unfinished Business, and it just keeps going. It feels like a whole second game. But, it basically, Rogue City feels like you're playing the RoboCop movie. So, they basically took all the feel. They got Peter Weller to do the voice of RoboCop. They tried to get like the graphics to look exactly like the characters did in the original movie with Lewis and whatnot, and the old man and stuff like that. And but it's an original story, and it's just so unbelievably good. And also they don't shy away from what people liked about RoboCop, which, let's face it, I'm a perfect example. You like the unbelievable amounts of gore, and you can soup up your gun in the game to make more and more damage, like to where there's like blood heads exploding and all kinds of stuff, like and the characters. I mean, it's got bad language in it. Like you'll kill a guy, he'll go, ah! You'll hear in the distance, ah! He blew off my fucking arm. Like, you get stuff like that, and you're like, yes, like it sounds like RoboCop, it feels like RoboCop, like it's so true to the property.
I mean, RoboCop the movie was the original. We're not going to touch on 2 or 3. Was
or
basically a video game made into a movie before it became a video game from a movie.
Yeah.
It's that formula of it's basically kind of like a revenge plot where you just keep leveling up. You got to murder the street level thug before you get to the thug's boss, before you get to the guy who masterminded the whole thing. And so it translates to video game format perfectly.
Yeah. Kale says, but how many bad movie games have there been? It's weird that game movies seem to work so much better. Yeah, Kale, I think that's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's starting to turn around. They're really starting to get better. Again, this RoboCop game is like, I mean, if you like the 1987 or 1988 whatever's movie,
87, yep.
Okay, yeah, thank you. You'll love Rogue City. I mean, like when I saw there was a RoboCop game, I was like, oh no, is this going to be any good? And when I bought it, I could not put it down. I was like, this is awesome. Like, it's so much fun, dude. And I mean, the Ed 209s are a complete bitch to destroy, but that's a whole nother story. But but yeah, I mean, it totally works. And again, like the DLC like is, I mean, I've been playing it for quite a while, and I don't play it in long chunks. Granted, I don't have long chunks to play, but it seems like a whole nother game. And I got it for like, I don't know, $20, $15 or something. And it's just like the regular game. And, to your point, like about video games, like, the Jedi Survivor games, those two. And there's a third one that'll be coming out, in a couple of years. Like, it's just so incredibly good. And it makes you wonder, like, why can they nail these storylines and whatnot in games and not in the movies? Like, like, how is the writing is out there? So why is it not being done?
To ironically use a gamer term, do you think that's the cheat code, is to jump media, I guess? Like, if you're a video game, it's like, oh, I've never seen this as a movie before. That's cool. Or if you're a movie, oh, I've never played this as a video game before. That's cool.
I don't know. I don't know if it's immediate. Part of me wonders, like, if you think about it, like in Star Wars terms, if you think about it, like the stuff that people have liked the best the last several years is the episodic stuff. The films have not been well received for whatever reason. I think we could say, but then you're sitting there for like 2.5 hours in one chunk. Whereas the episodic stuff, I think it's maybe the shortness of people's attention span. And, that translates to a video game because you're on different missions. So once you finish a mission, you're on to something else. So I think that could potentially be a reason. It's just that shortened attention span. Again, it's a social media thing. People watching shorts rather than full videos. Instagram stuff. It's not just long form documentaries and movies and whatnot all the time anymore. So I'm wondering if that's it, because I mean, really, like, like I say, like the Jedi Survivor games have been fantastic, and the RoboCop game is awesome. By the way, Kale McLeish, I'm glad you brought this up because I wondered about this. He says, then you should probably get Terminator Resistance, John. That and its DLC is the best Terminator content post Judgment Day. Okay, thank you, because I saw that game online, and I'm going to look that up, and I'm going to get that because I was wondering about that. But the other
franchise is another example where, like, Alien Earth, I thought was a fantastic show. Episodic, it was different. The movies lately, no, people don't really get hyped for a new Alien movie these days because it's like the Terminator problem. Like, it's the same story retold over and over and over again. The show brings something different to it, expands beyond just the xenomorphs. Alien Isolation. You knew about Alien Isolation 2 long before I did, but even I'm hyped for it, and I never even played the game.
So goddamn creepy. That's another one. Like that one, if you like the 79 Alien movie, Alien Isolation absolutely nails the feel and the vibe of that movie. I couldn't finish it. First of all, it was getting difficult and I was sucking at it, but also I was in this just horrible, like, mental state of just being terrified. Like the whole time, like it was, I mean, it didn't help that my dumb ass is like, well, let's make it worse. Let's play in the VR helmet. So I've got no real world anything. I'm just immersed in this goddamn
3D audio and everything. Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah. And it is 3D. Oh, I mean, I would highly recommend that game for anyone who hasn't played it, but
but all these things we're talking about, the other example that comes to mind is Indiana Jones. Indiana's Great Circle.
I was just about to bring that up. It was
so all these game examples, though, these are pure nostalgia. It's not like, oh, that's a new thing for Indiana Jones, or that's a thing that I never thought or saw of in RoboCop before. Like, the closer that the video games can get to the movies, we're like, yes, thank you. But if we see another movie that's like that, we're like, I already saw that. That's an interesting distinction there, where you can hew as close to possible for nostalgia and make a great movie game. And you can hew as close to the video game to make a great movie if that's your origin. But movies can't make other movies that remind you of movies you've already seen.
Yeah.
And the same holds true for video games too.
Well,
if
I
a
think
sequel to a video game comes out and there's nothing like new added to the formula, it's just more of the same, the audience reaction is like, we already did this.
Yeah, by the way, a couple good comments in the chat here. Nick Hall says you have close to 8 hours for the story of a game, but roughly 2 hours to tell a story in a movie. That could be the secret sauce. And Ghosties says the xenomorph AI is still studied today because it's so impressive and terrifying. That's true. That's very true. Yeah, see, the interesting thing is, though, dude, I really think that these storylines. I mean, well, okay. The story, like let's say the synopsis of these video games would work in a movie, but the question is, will it work in short form, meaning like 2.5 hours as opposed to, like Nick just mentioned, like 8 to 10 to 12 hours of a video game, so I think that's the thing. Like, you could just put so much more detail into it. I know that the concept of the Indiana Jones game, Great Circle, I know that would work in a movie. There's one point where there's time travel, which, I mean, I know they did that at the end of Dial of Destiny, but I think it was kind of weird in the game. Like, it was cool, but you're like, what the hell just happened? I don't think that's necessary if they were to turn that into a movie, but the basis of the story itself, like the Great Circle thing, yeah, that would be great. That would make a great Indiana Jones story. I don't know. As we're talking, I'm really kind of coming over to the side of it being an issue of quality and of.
You don't think the format matters? It's just the general story, and if the story sucks, the story sucks. Doesn't matter if it's a game, cartoon, movie, whatever.
Yeah, because I think the problems that people have had, like with the DC thing, for me it's the reboot, and for the rebooting, I haven't watched it. I'm like, I'm not going to spend my time or money on this crap. If they're not invested in it to let this thing ride out, then I shouldn't be invested either. But I mean, to your point, and I think to a lot of fans' points, most of those movies have been trash. I think one of the best received ones was
story, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the best received ones that they've had is that first Wonder Woman movie, and everyone was all hyped because they were like, "Holy crap, this is way better than it has any business being." No one expected it to be great, and they loved it. And then the second one comes out, and it was just like a pile of shit on a pile of shit,
Mm-hmm.
So, there's that. And I mean, you're a perfect example with Indiana Jones. I mean, you hate Crystal Skull. You just think it's so stupid, like the concept of the whole alien thing. And a lot of people have that problem with it. It's like, it's just, it's they don't like the concept of it. And it's like, okay. And, with Star Wars, you've got, the just the disjointed writing in the sequel trilogy is like, what the hell is this? So that landed like a, fart in church. Like,
I think Crystal Skull is actually endemic of everything that we were talking about earlier, as far as seeing the formula. It's like, okay, so we're going to come back after 15 years, and how are we going to make people care? Let's get Marion back. And then visually, we're going to CG the shit out of everything so it has that digital sheen of the prequels instead of like the tangible quality of the film produced trilogy from the 80s. So it looked bad, and the story choices were clearly driven by what do we think fans will pay money to see instead of what makes sense for the character now.
Yeah. Real quick, I got to give Kale a plug. He says, all right, I got to get up and get going. But to anyone who reads this, stream Kale McLeish's Grow, parentheses, rescored version, when it drops this Friday. So Kale is releasing new music. And for any of our audio viewers, Kale McLeish is spelled Cael. First name, last name McLeish, Mcleish. And the song is called Grow, parentheses, rescored version. So check that out on all the music streaming services this Friday. Love you, Kale, man. Good to see you, bro. Anyway, sorry, continue.
Yeah, no. That's why we've talked about Dial of Destiny before. I love that movie because that is a movie I can see why it actually ties into this topic perfectly. I'm glad you brought it up because that's one that we love because we're like, that makes sense for the character and the actor at this point. Like, it wasn't going to be a popular concept because the franchise is kind of stagnant, but it makes sense to tell a story like that at this stage for the character's life. What is Indiana Jones as an 80-year-old? Well, let's look at that instead of let's CG the crap out of Harrison Ford so he can, well, basically, like they got Michael Keaton back for the Flash movie to play 1989 Batman, doing shit that 1989 Batman never could, and Michael Keaton at his current age sure as hell couldn't do. You know, just because they thought that that's what audiences wanted to see. Instead, we're like, no, we're going to show you old man Indiana Jones because Indiana Jones is old in this one. And that is an interesting chapter of this character's life. It might not be the one you want to see. We gave you that in the intro of the movie. Here's basically the Raiders of the Lost Ark era Indiana Jones adventure that you never saw. And that was the digital de-aged Harrison Ford and everything else. Great. And then you get, from a storytelling perspective, a story that made sense instead of a story that the studio is like, we're going to just feed you whatever we think you want to see. I appreciate that. I'm here for a good story, and I thought that was a better story than Crystal Skull.
Okay. I don't, again, I always wonder if I'm the one who's wrong in all of this. Like, because when I went to Crystal Skull, as I've said, I just want to see Indiana Jones kicking ass. I'm not looking to reinvent the wheel. You know, I'm not looking for some existential crisis. I'm not looking for some deep meaning. Like, no, I want to see Indiana Jones survive a nuclear explosion in a lead-lined fridge. Like, that's Indiana Jones. You know what I mean? Like, that's what's cool about Indiana Jones. Like, so when people like dig into that, I'm like, oh, that's so fake. He could never do that. Like, he couldn't do any of this stuff. Like, none of this. He'd have been dead within like the first 5 minutes of Raiders, dude. Like, come on. Like, so I didn't have a problem with Crystal Skull like you did, like saying, oh man, this is fake, you know, like he wouldn't do that. But, you know, that being said, I completely agree with you about Dial of Destiny, because I mean, we said that, you know, Jeff Caffrey, man, don't get me going, man. He says Crystal Pepsi is better than Crystal Skull. Damn you, Jeff. Do not get me going. I will defend my Indiana Jones. Like, that is a hill I'm more than willing to die on, man. But yeah, I agreed. I agreed with you 100% on what you just said about the story for Dial of Destiny, because it was awesome how they're like, yeah, he's old, and they made him kind of act old.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I thought that was awesome. You know, as much as the time travel thing in the theater's like, oh, please don't. Like, when they did it, you're like, okay, well, this is kind of like the ultimate coup de grace. You know, it's like he's, did I use that term correctly? Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, for him to be a part of history like that, just, you know, I mean, I don't think there's really a great way to do it, but I thought that the concept was awesome. You know, so I was like, yeah, this is great, dude. And, you know, as you mentioned, you got like the Raiders of the Lost Ark type adventure in the beginning, you know, the flashback scene. And then it goes from there. And you just have him doing all this crazy stuff. And which is interesting that you said, oh, you know, it doesn't follow the formula. I'm like, I thought it did. It's, you know, Indiana Jones just, you know, he gets the thing, then he loses the thing, then he gets the thing, then he loses the thing, and whatnot. Like, but yeah, I like, as we're talking, I'm kind of like more solidifying my opinion on why these things seem to like peter out. And it doesn't seem to be like one set thing, but as I'm looking at it, and maybe this is why I'm particularly protective of Mandu and Grogu, and the Indiana Jones stuff, is that I think it does have good writing, and I think it is quality. Whereas like the DC stuff, or, you know, you take stuff like RoboCop or something, like, which was such a great first movie, and then they just completely destroyed it afterwards. I mean, it's not legacy like now, but, you know, something like Hellraiser or A Nightmare on Elm Street, you get a couple great movies, and the rest is just trash because they can't write anything but garbage.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, it's just not good. And you know, same thing with Tron. I you know, and I get like don't you God damn it, don't you roll your
No,
eyes
no,
like
no.
that.
I'm lamenting what has become of the franchise.
I was gonna say, don't you crap on Tron, man. That's a bad move. Yeah, I mean, I get like Tron didn't start. It was like a cult thing, the original. So maybe Legacy wasn't the best idea, but Legacy is such an unbelievably great friggin' movie.
Oh,
And
I
I
love it.
love Tron Ares. I love Tron Ares. Again, original concept. It actually had some smart commentary in it, which I thought was pretty cool. And people just don't latch onto it, man. Like I don't understand it, but yeah, I really think it's a writing thing, and I think it might be like an attention span thing as to why this stuff just is not, you know. All right, Nick. By the way, Nick Hall brings this up. It's funny you mentioned this, Nick. Nick says Evil Dead has yet to have a bad entry, including Burn. Thank you. I have not watched the reboots. And actually, come to think of it, the only one I've seen is the very original one. So I haven't seen Army of Darkness or Evil Dead 2 or whatever. Dead Alive, whatever it is. In any case,
Careful, you're gonna have Joseph Wren going off in the comments about a Fright Lab collaboration or something.
well, Steph and I we want to watch the two new reboots of Evil Dead because we want to go see Burn in the theater. So I'm glad Nick said that they're good because I want to kind of check that out. But
All right, thanks for the show fodder because I haven't seen those either. So I guess stay tuned.
go.
Maybe that's an October thing.
There we go. Yeah. Oh, that could be our Halloween. Yeah, our
Yeah.
Halloween month. We'll do a month of Evil Dead.
Yeah,
There we go.
love it.
Yeah. It kind of sucks that, you know, back to the video game thing. It kind of sucks that you don't play, because I think we would have more to talk about, because I really think you would enjoy the games that I mentioned for the reasons that I mentioned, because I mean they really do a fantastic job. And again, bringing it back to my point about writing, I don't understand how these video game people can get these things right, whereas these movie like scribes cannot. Scribe is used well over 10 years on the show, and that's the first time we've used the word scribe. Go us. But yeah, like they just keep dropping the ball. I don't understand how that is.
Well, it ties back into what we were talking about earlier, where it seems like the free pass is tell the same story in a different medium. So Super Mario Galaxy is a great video game. And as soon as you put it in a movie and don't change a thing, just make people remember the video game, they're like, yeah, awesome. The new Mortal Kombat movies are actually very well received. And why? Because it's like the video game. Why is the RoboCop game so well received? Because it's just like the movie. But if you were to put out a second movie that's just like the first movie, people are like, why would I bother? So I think you get a free pass if you hop mediums, but if you tell the same story in the same format, then you're in trouble with the fans.
That makes sense. I know, because you were saying that before. That's a good way to explain it, I think. And I think when you phrase it that way, I would agree with that. Because
like,
yeah,
the closest thing to novelty that I would say came out of the Super Mario Galaxy movie is that it's the first time in the franchise that it's been canonized that Rosalina and Peach are sisters. So of all the just nothing but nostalgia and Easter eggs in that movie, there was one bit of lore that was invented and canonized in the movie. Otherwise, it was just nothing but shit you've seen before.
Okay.
But never on the big screen.
Yeah.
And I think Mandalorian and Grogu might have suffered from that because we've got 3 seasons of that show. And the biggest criticism of the movie is we've already seen this in 3 seasons of television.
See,
like really,
what
wrong.
is you're not wrong.
Does it feel like it's a next chapter or just the characters started in one place and ended in the same place? I don't feel like it really pushed the characters forward. If you never see this movie, are you going to be lost the next time you see them? Be like, oh, that was a big change. When did that happen?
Yeah, I can't deny that. I think if I were to have two takeaways from it, it would be bringing Rod of the Hutt into, maybe now he's going to be like the third. If this sort of thing continues, maybe he's going to be like their third, like the third of the sidekicks, like. And I think the only other thing is like really showing that, the growth of Grogu, or Grogo, excuse me,
Mhm.
where he can actually take care
Grow.
of grow. Nice. But, is there a W in there? There's 3 W's like Kashyyyk. But
3 W's
yeah,
like Chic. New shirt from Nerf Herder Council. Shop.nerfherdercouncil.com.
you know what I meant. But yeah, I you kind of see where he can actually take care of Din Djarin.
Mhm.
Like that was, previously it was pretty much like if Grogo got into hot water, it was Mando saving his ass. Mandu, excuse me, saving his ass. You know how many people probably listen or watch this show that aren't aware of that joke, and they're like, why do they keep mispronouncing this? Like, what are they doing? So Nick Hall, he says, print it. I'll buy that for $1.
Oh, mixing genres. I love it. Okay.
There we go. Yeah, and Ghosties, I think, makes a good point here. I think Mando and Grogu will age the same way, just a questionable choice for the first back. Yeah, see, it's hard for me to admit these things because I loved it. I had no problem with it, but I can see the logic. I mean, AJ, you made that point. Ghosties just made that point. Like, I could see the logic there. It's that, like, if you're going to return to the big screen, you want something bigger, I think, is what that,
Mm-hmm. Love it or hate it, Solo at least introduced some new stuff.
Yeah.
The biggest knock is, oh God, of course we saw how he met Chewie, how he got the ship, how he got his blaster. But at least that was stuff we didn't know before.
Yeah. Well, and that's like, I mean, to my thinking, that was like Rogue One. It was explaining a backstory that you knew the end result of, but you're like, okay, well, how does this happen?
Mm-hmm.
It was cool to introduce the character of Han, but you always wondered, like, well, what's the Kessel Run? Like, we've always like, what the hell is that? So you found that out. How does he get the Millennium Falcon? After the dialogue with Lando and Empire. All these different things, and they did it smart, as we've said in our reviews of Solo, which we've done a couple, where with the DL-44, they didn't dwell on it. It was just like, hey, I don't have a gun. All right, takes the rifle, takes the front and the back off, and chucks the blaster part at him. It's like, oh, he's got it. There we go.
Yeah.
Like, look at Ghosties. He said, he or she. I don't even know. Is it he or she? In any case, they. There we go. Yeah. I also loved Solo when it came out, but I left the theater feeling like a pariah. No, not me, man. You can ask AJ. I was sitting there like that was a Star Wars movie that was a throwback for me because I was in my seat, literally going, yes. Yeah, I was like rooting for it like a boxing match. Like I was so into that movie. I still love it. I it's one of the most underrated pieces of Star Wars.
Yeah, we will stand for Solo, no problem.
Yes, but yeah. Oh, it's Alex. Okay, Alex from Celebration. There we go. Okay, there we go.
Oh yeah, I thought I knew that screen name from somewhere. Hell yeah, brother. How are you?
Okay. We got drunk in line waiting for what was that? Was that episode 3 where we were eating sandwiches and getting drunk?
Yes, sir. Episode 3D.
So good. I still have the glasses, the 3D glasses sealed over here. They're collector's
awesome.
They're collector's items at this point. They're worth like $1.17.
Right.
But in any case,
yes. So where do these franchises go from here? Because Star Wars should keep putting out movies. I don't want to think of Star Wars as strictly being a streaming service thing. DC kind of has to keep trying movies, I think. Masters of the Universe, I never understood the hype in the first place. We had Castle Grayskull as kids, but it did seem to be a very 80s franchise. I can't believe they tried to dig it up again.
Well, can we talk about that for a second? Because you hinted at it earlier. And then we'll get to your question about where do they go, because I do have an idea. But it's weird, man, because like all of my nerd friends were super hyped about Masters of the Universe, and all of them said it was great, and yet it just came and went like a blip.
You want to know how bad it was? This
Like, in
is
terms
this
of,
is
like-
the box office summary.
Okay.
170 million plus production budget. You want to take a guess at what the receipts were?
250.
The opening weekend was under $40 million.
What? It was that little?
Oh wait, sorry. Sorry, I was reading the wrong line. That was the opening for Supergirl. The total domestic gross for Masters of the Universe, 29.43 million.
Wait a minute. It made less than 30 million in its total run?
Yeah.
That can't be right. That can't be right.
All right, I got to fact check the AI summary here. This is citing comicbook.com, 5 huge blockbuster movie flops nobody saw coming. It says Supergirl opened to just 37.1 million domestically, blah, 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 blah. Masters of the Universe fared even worse, managing only 29.43 million domestically on a movie that cost more than $170 million to produce.
See, this says 111 million worldwide, with about 64 million from domestic and 47 million internationally.
So it was probably talking about the opening weekend then.
Wow, Jesus.
But still, terrible.
That is wow. Well, interesting. Talk a little bit about that. Look at the bottom of the screen, and I'll be right back.
Well, I can certainly go on about box bombs because that was the whole reason for this. My quick take on Masters of the Universe is that I think they really overestimated the mass market appeal of that movie, because a bunch of muscular dudes in loincloths, not really something that would appeal to 2026 audiences, I believe. So I think we could all kind of see that one coming. The first attempt in, what was it, 1987, I believe? It was basically 40 years ago. They tried to do Masters of the Universe the first time with Dolph Lundgren, and everyone was like, even He-Man fans at the time were like, what the hell is this? Like it doesn't have, just because it sells toys doesn't mean it sells movie tickets. So Masters of the Universe is kind of self-explanatory, but the rest of the franchises we've been talking about tonight are ones that in the past have been big draws at the movie theater, and then they're still not draws now. I think the reason is they've already drawn at the movie theater. So if you're just going to do more of the same, no one's around to give a shit. That's my theory.
So no one like gives a shit about like. So are you referencing that directly to Masters of the Universe specifically, or the other ones that we talked about as well?
Yeah, the overriding theme is more of the same, not sell tickets. And people were cool on Star Wars already, so the response to Mandu and Grogu was sorry, I was half right. Mandu and Grogu was lukewarm, and no Hoth jokes with Tauntauns.
Yeah.
Masters of the Universe never drew the first time it was in theaters 40 years ago. So why they thought it was going to draw eyeballs now, I don't know. That made no sense.
You know what? I have to admit, I would have seen it if it looked closer to what I thought Masters of the Universe looked like. I mean,
that's funny because I thought the accuracy to the toy line was actually to its detriment.
No, see, the original movie was just an ungodly piece of trash, so that didn't help it at all. And the characters were different. It was just a mess all the way around. But like with this one, I mean, honestly, like He-Man didn't feel big enough. Like that was like, it was like, you know, like you get like a very visceral reaction when you first see something. When I first saw the trailer to He-Man, I was like I'm picturing like He-Man should be like Arnold Schwarzenegger in the 70s when he's winning every single Mr. Olympia. This guy felt like he was like 5'8" and like 215 pounds, like super muscular, but like I'm like, this guy should have been like 6'4" and like Dolph Lundgren. At least they had him as He-Man. You know what I mean? Like that you think is a giant dude is He-Man.
Yeah,
Like,
and he was oiled up, so like everything was as defined as possible.
yeah. And I don't
They've,
know.
they've tried over the years, even with the cartoons, to like modernize the character, but he's still a Conan the Barbarian ripoff. And
Yes.
I just no one wants that in 2026.
Well, and the whole thing about it being like, and again, it comes down to writing. When I found out it was like, oh, this is a guy in a real world, but he's actually He-Man, but he's stuck in the real world. I'm like, excuse me, Thor. Didn't we have that with the first Thor movie? Hello, we've done this. Marvel did it. You know, like, yeah, like, yeah. I mean, John Phillips has a good point. He says the problem with Masters of the Universe is that there hasn't been a constant anything like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah, like
it's true.
Yeah,
it's
I don't
true.
know.
I mean, but again, they've done some good stuff on the animation side. Netflix has done a couple of good series. I loved Revelations. Kevin Smith wrote it. And the biggest knock on that one was that He-Man was sidelined for most of it, and like Tila took over. They're like, oh, so woke. Like, it's okay for someone besides He-Man. It's not called He-Man. It's called Masters of the Universe. He-Man is only one character amongst a group. It's okay if other people in the group take over. Also, Mark Hamill did the voice of Skeletor, and it was fan-fucking-tastic, of course.
Yeah, he was awesome as Skeletor. He really was. He really was, man. All right.
Yeah,
so,
I just don't think I don't think the mass market appeal of He-Man was there to support a blockbuster movie at $170 million budget. You could have all the Masters of the Universe fans in the world line up for a ticket, and you still wouldn't make that money back.
which, dude, you know, and that's really, really weird to me, because like when we were kids, like that thing was huge. And so you would think people our age who watched the cartoon like religiously as a kid and had all the toys, you would think that we would go. But again, like I would have if I saw that and I was like, okay, that looks pretty badass. But it didn't to me. So,
or it might just be a case of like people don't care anymore. Like, look, in high school, Korn was my absolute fucking jam. That first album blew my mind. I can't listen to it anymore. I'm just not that sad. Like I loved He-Man as a kid, as an 8-year-old. There's nothing as a next year 48-year-old that appeals to me about He-Man.
I mean, that kind of brings us full circle. I mean, are people just getting over nostalgia? Is that like a dying for me, it's not. I mean, that's why we're all going to Celebration next year. I mean, Christ. I mean, the main draw of Celebration is like getting that feeling back of when you were a little kid and like when you first experienced Star Wars and the energy and all that. Like,
true, but I'm not going. Maybe we're different on this. I don't go to Celebration because I want to steep myself in Han, Luke, and Leia all over again for the 50th year. I'm like, okay, that's part of it. The Maul series is cool though. Andor was cool. Like all the additions to the lore, like what has changed since the last time I did this thing. That's what appeals to me. And if they're, as we've outlined tonight, all these studios and franchises are just like, we're going to feed you more of the thing you already love. Okay, but have you changed the formula at all, or is it the same thing that I already love? Because I already have that. If I want to play Super Mario Galaxy, for example, I have that. I don't need another one of it. If you want to feed me Mandalorian and Grogu, okay, well, if all you're showing me is the same characters doing things I've already seen them do in the show, I don't need the movie. If you're going to feed me Masters of the Universe, but it's just like playing with my toys, except I don't want to play with those toys anymore because I'm an adult, not a kid, I don't care. So I think you need to evolve and grow over time. And the things that seem to have succeeded for these franchises in the same medium, so like if you're going to put out another Star Wars movie or another video game in the Mario franchise, whatever it is, you have to iterate. You have to move on. And I think a lot of these studios are like, we're just going to do the same thing that made money last time, except it won't make money the second time because it's not novel anymore. So we've had this conversation about music, like sorry to stir the pot with Van Halen again, but different kind of truth.
Thin ice, buddy, thin ice.
No, but it was a nostalgia trip, right? Like, I mean, most of the songs were based off of demo tracks that were laid down when DLR was still the front man, right?
Half. There's half new stuff and half they took some old tapes.
Okay. And why, as a Van Halen fan, was that novel at the time it came out?
Because it was Eddie Van Halen playing guitar, which is always awesome.
Okay, so it was guitar licks you hadn't heard before, so it was familiar yet different, right?
Yeah,
and you got to have David Lee Roth back as the frontman, which again, familiar but novel because you never heard him sing those songs before. But if they had just like said, "Here's Megadeth, prime example, to go back into your music genre," do we need how many versions of A Tout Le Monde?
Yeah, it's a good point.
You already sang that song. What else you got? So if you're going to give me Mandalorian and Grogu on the big screen and it's just the same Mandalorian and the same Grogu that I've already seen on Disney Plus, why am I buying a ticket?
I mean, to me, it's like, if you like the property, why wouldn't you go see the new stuff or play the new game? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, if you're into it, then why wouldn't you? That's what I don't.
We're kind of talking about two different things then. We're talking about one, did anyone show up for it? And then two, did they like it? Because there's of the people that did go see Mandalorian and Grogu, the main negative feedback was it doesn't do anything for the characters. So some people were like, it is Star Wars, I'll go see it, and then said, that was boring, I already saw that. And then you got the people that just didn't care in the first place.
Which I don't understand that. Yeah, and I guess that all plays back into the point of, you know, they should have done something bigger as like a theatrical return.
Do you think
I don't know.
Starfighter has a chance?
What was that?
Do you think Starfighter has a chance?
I would hope so. I mean, I honest to God, dude, at this point, I don't know. Like, I really don't. Because I think, like, I would have thought Mandu and Grogu, excuse me. I would have thought that would have been huge because people love the show. So you're like, all right, well, I like these characters. I like the show. Cool. I'll go see a movie about it, you know? And it didn't happen the way I thought it would.
Maybe it was just a timing thing. If that had come out like hot on the heels of season 3, maybe it would be better received.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Moved on.
That's a good point because it's been a while. Like, yeah, they sure didn't strike while the iron was hot there, did they? Yeah, man. See, again, I'm such a weird judge of this because I am the nostalgia guy. You know, if there's something that I loved as a kid, like I say, like when they announced like a new Star Wars game, you know me, dude. I watched your dog for a week, and you gave me a $75 PlayStation gift card. It's still sitting on my end table next to my recliner where I sit and play video games because I'm waiting for a Star Wars game to come out. Or if there's something that comes out between now and the next Jedi Survivor that I absolutely cannot live without, I mean, I'll use it, but I'm
Are you going to buy
waiting.
Star Wars Galactic Racer?
Probably not, because that's just like a racing game, and I'm like, yeah, okay. Like,
it's the Bulba's in it.
He always wins. Yeah, I don't know. Like that's like a racing game. That's a little different for me. I like the adventure games and whatnot. And the strategy one, like what's it called? Zero Squad or something like that.
Oh yeah.
It's Zero something.
Zero Company.
Zero Company, thank you. Yeah, I mean that looks okay, but it kind of looks like a giant version of a mobile game to me, and I don't play mobile games. Ghosty says Ryan Gosling is on a big run. I do think his star power will help, especially after Project Hail Mary. That is a very good point.
It will be interesting to see if Project Hail Mary gives the rub to Star Wars. It's a weird thing to say that, but yeah.
I hope it does well. The thing that makes me nervous is that, how many people I talk to that I know are Star Wars fans and didn't know that there was a new Star Wars movie coming out. I don't know how that's even possible.
I think it's just a consequence of having so many demands on our attention these days. Even the short theatrical runs, like, yeah, if you don't hit opening weekend, you're dead. Something else is coming out and no one's going to pay attention.
But there's not that many huge things coming out. That's a thing. At least not that I'm aware of. Like, I'm looking at movies. I'm like, the hell is all this? But maybe, again, it's like we said at the very beginning, it's an algorithm thing. I'm not looking for that sort of stuff. So maybe that's it,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've experienced it on this show, especially like we stumbled onto a couple of times a shitload of views on YouTube because something in our episode title was hot that week. It wasn't even necessarily the same thing. Like when the She-Hulk series came out, we did our 2003 to 2008 comparison of Hulk movies. But because Hulk was in the title, YouTube was like, yes, shove that at everybody's eyeballs.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we had for us, a huge hit on our hands, which had nothing to do. Sorry for everybody who clicked on that video thinking it was going to be She-Hulk, but but just as fast as we got those eyeballs that week, on.
Like, why am I watching this crap?
Yeah, but it was in the algorithm for a week, and then the algorithm was onto something else. So no one even had a chance to even see if our show was worth a shit or not.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's a good point.
So how do these traditional franchises build or at least sustain an audience? Do you think it still comes back to storytelling, or do you think it's a marketing problem?
I honestly, I think you could say it's a combination. I mean, they only want to spend so much on marketing, but again, I do think it's a writing thing.
How do you build hype in 2026?
God, that's a whole nother episode. I don't know. I really don't. I mean, if people didn't know a Star Wars movie was coming out, like what do they know? Like what's going to happen with like Avengers Doomsday? Because shouldn't they technically be promoting that right now? Like, hey, and very little is coming out about that.
I'm sure we'll get the info dump in about a week, 10 days. San Diego Comic-Con is very, very soon. And well, it's Comic-Con. Of course, comic book shit is going to be all over the place. But yeah, to your point though, that should be, $1 billion plus guaranteed. You know what is also coming out this month that I completely forgot about until this very moment? Have you heard of a thing called Spider-Man Brand New Day?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. See? Right there. We are absolutely the audience for that. I am hyped for Spider-Man 4, and yet I haven't seen a damn thing about it except for YouTube videos talking about trailers for it because the trailers themselves have not been shoved at me.
Yeah, I really wonder if they're leaning too far into the whole like social media thing and YouTube. Like I wonder if they have to do more traditional, kind of marketing, like actual like television commercials and things like that. Because again, like if it's something you're searching for, like I'll totally go see that, man. Like, oh yeah, I mean the last one was amazing. So hell yeah, I'm gonna go see this new one.
Yeah, and the trailers even show the Punisher's in it. So there you go.
Yeah, of which I haven't seen the show. But See, that's my wife and I are always sitting there like, man, I feel like there's these things we want to watch we can never remember. So I literally will spend like 45 minutes just scrolling on the streaming services trying to find something. I need to just put one of those things in and be like, here, we're watching this. But yeah, I mean, like
Punisher is in season 2 of Daredevil. If you want
the,
to get started
I thought
with that.
Doesn't he have like a whole separate show of his own though? Isn't it like one season or something of it?
Yeah, but that's like saying that Boba Fett has his own show. It's like, well, have you seen the way he came back in The Mandalorian first? So
Okay.
he's the main antagonist of season 2 of Daredevil, and then he got 2 seasons of his own show based on that.
Okay. I love the concept of the Punisher. So, and
Personally,
and the name,
I think the Daredevil appearance was better than a spinoff.
so you're basically saying it's Boba Fett all over again to you. Gotcha.
Well, it's just the interplay of the characters. Because,
Okay.
Punisher is like, I'm going to murder everybody. That's the safest way to make sure that bad people don't do bad things again. And Daredevil's like, no, justice and law. Like, we have to neutralize and then let the system do its thing. And that's the conflict right there.
The interplay. Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll
So-
see. Like I got to convince my wife to watch those. So
Yeah. His own show is, it's more of a character study, but no one's going to stop him from killing people when he decides they got to die. Whereas all of season 2 of Daredevil is, no, Frank, you can't kill him. Why can't I kill him? With a lot of F-bombs too, by the way. Rated M for mature.
well, then maybe see now I know I'm going to prefer the Punisher television show, like his own show, because he'll kill people. I want to see the Punisher not punishing. He's not called the slap on the wrister. Like, what the hell?
Well, you're going to see Daredevil doing deviling, I guess, or daring. I'm not sure which.
Will he dare to devil?
Yes. Will he dare to devil? That is the question.
That's what the show's about. Yeah, and like back to your thing with Spider-Man. Yeah, it's pretty
The fact
crazy
that I
because
forgot about Spider-Man until now. What the hell?
yeah,
That'll probably do a Billy at the box, but I haven't seen anything that YouTube didn't have at me. That's weird.
Yeah, I've seen some, but again, you ask how they promote, and then we're starting to ramble here, so we can jump after this because we're on a whole nother topic now. But yeah, like again, like to beat this dead horse again, like it's the algorithm thing. It's got to be. So like, how do they promote? Like they've got to get out of that cycle. They have to market it to like people who don't necessarily like live in that digital world all the time. Because like I try and stay off my phone as much as I can.
Rod, thank you. Like I didn't even know the release date. Now I am a bit of a cord cutter and a snub though, so I haven't paid for cable in a long time, and I always pay for ad free. So how are they going to reach me? Because I will pay money so I don't have to watch shit in between my shit.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think that like there's people like me that I'm just not social media guy. Like I try and stay off my phone as much as possible. And I know there's more people like me. So if you kind of cater to that, like, put it on television or like sporting events, I think are still watched so much that it's like spend the money to put the commercials there. Like if you were to put it like during World Cup broadcasts right now, for example, the commercial during the Super Bowl for Mandu and Grogo was a perfect example, but it was like so short and it was kind of like a tongue-in-cheek, like wink, wink, nod. Yeah, wink, wink, nudge, nudge to those of us who knew what it was. Like, I mean, the first like 3 seconds of the damn commercial, I was jumping out of my seat going, "It's a tauntaun! It's a tauntaun!"
Right. We saw the symbol, but I was like, "Is this footage? Is this a beer tie-in?" Like,
yeah.
We knew there was a movie coming out, but the average viewer would not have had a clue what the fuck that meant.
Yeah, they should have just been like Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars with all this action going on,
It's in a theater. It's a movie. Remember those?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think they got to get away from strictly trying to go for the social media route. They've got to do some traditional shit as well. They have to. I think more people would be aware of it at that point.
Rod, damn you! It's 2 weeks for Spider-Man. I gotta wait 2 fucking weeks. Ugh. All
What
right.
is it? Is it? Oh,
Yes.
it's July 31st, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the end of the
Okay.
month.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, there we go then. I think I don't know if we're gonna go see that together or not, but hey, I think it's about time we close up shop on this topic, and we've got a show in 2 weeks, which would be on the 29th, which is actually ahead of Spider-Man. So I guess we're not going to do a Spider-Man review for our next show. Sorry,
No.
guys.
Spider-Man? Is it Spider-Man or Spider-Man? It's like his last name, like Peter Spider-Man. Anyway,
Those are the classics. Oh God, I
Yes.
got to rewatch those Tobey Maguire movies.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
yes, you are correct. We are back on July 29th. So we'll be right back here at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We had a great audience tonight. Obviously, our buddy Alex Ghosties, Rod Fausnach, Kale McLeish.
Chat there, by the way, brother.
What was that?
Just shouting out Ghosties, man. Alex, good to see you and hear from
Yeah.
you. And blast from the past, man. Glad you're doing all right.
I definitely want to see those videos of us at Celebration. That was we definitely got to do that. That was cool.
Mhm.
Obviously, Chastity Crawley, Nick Hall, John Phillips, all you guys, we appreciate you tuning in. Joseph Wren, of course, my asshole friend Brian Carpenter for trying to poke the bear. I know exactly what he was doing. He's not fooling anyone. Yeah. So thank all you guys, and hopefully we see you again here in 2 weeks. Again, it is 8 p.m. Eastern time. As always, guys, look at this. By the way, before I get to that, Ghosty says AJ is asleep in about 80% of the videos. That's because alcohol is an energy drink for me. So if I'm drinking, I'm generally like wide awake. So that's no surprise there because we were sneaking booze. But yeah, so we'll be right back here on Wednesday, July 29th at 8 p.m. Eastern time. As always, guys, we are brought to you by Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/NHC for your 30-day trial and a free audiobook download. If you'd like to get some awesome Virtual Cantina Network swag, just go to tpublic.com/user/virtual-cantina. And you can get some awesome customizable Nerf Herder Council swag at shop.nerfherdercouncil.com. So until next time, I'm your host, JT, at Not Really Social Media. He is AJ.
At Drake Adams 579. I am actually back on Twitter very occasionally, but yeah, still got the handle. What's
Okay.
up?
All right. Well, before I jump, I do have to shout out my grandson because the next time we hit the air, he will be 1 year old. So he's turning 1 in a week and a half, and I can't be more excited for him. So I love the little dude like I can't even explain. So happy birthday, MJ, and the rest of you guys. We will see you next time.